Hi guys, welcome to Nirvana Central, your number one resource online for all things Nirvana. So it's going to be a little bit of a different video today actually, because I've not posted for a while as we're having a bit of work done on the house, and I've had to move out to a bit of temporary accommodation for a little bit while that's being done. So I hadn't been wanting to really do any videos because obviously I haven't got everything set up here to do it, and obviously it's a bit strange recording in a new place, but it's been a while now, so I thought, I tell you what, let's just go off piste a bit and I'll just record something quick now, and then at least it means there's a bit of new content on the channel until I get back in the house again. So today's video is going to be, why did Nirvana leave Sub Pop? That's a question that has always intrigued me in a way, and I thought it'd be worth doing a video on it just in case it was something that other Nirvana fans are interested in as well, and it's good to have a discussion on it. Obviously, if you've got any thoughts or any information on why Nirvana left Sub Pop, then feel free to leave it in the comments below. And obviously if you just got any comments on the video in general, feel free to leave me a comment and have your say. Let's get into it. So why did Nirvana leave Sub Pop? Now this is quite an interesting question. I say it's something that's always intrigued me, because on the face of it, Sub Pop would appear like the perfect label for the band. They were a cool independent label. They had a lot of other cool sort of independent type bands on there that were popular in that grunge sort of Seattle scene. You would have imagined that being a cool sort of indie label, they would have given Nirvana and the bands on the label a certain level of artistic freedom that you probably wouldn't get on a major, which you would have thought been perfect for Nirvana and Kurt. And you would have also thought they would have liked, as a band, with obviously coming from a sort of a bit of a punk perspective, and Kurt and Chris having that sort of punk view on things and approach to things, especially music. You would have thought being on an indie label would have chimed perfectly with that for him. So all in all, you would have thought Sub Pop would have been the perfect label really. So for them to leave after not really being there that long, it's always been something that's made me wonder. So like, why is that? And the reason I set this channel up was really not to just talk about the usual things that everybody talks about, is to look at some of these other things that have happened and fans might be interested in. So with that being said, let's have a look at a couple of reasons I believe they left. So the first reason, from reading interviews online, looking at videos from various sources online, which is where I've picked the information up and formed my opinions from for this video, would be the ambition Nirvana had as a band. Now this is quite an interesting topic of itself, which is probably, I might even do another video on it. But the general perception that a lot of people still have, that Nirvana didn't have any ambition, that they didn't want success, that they were happy to just remain a really small band playing gigs to 50 people in dingy clubs and never getting any sales or airplay or anything like that, is actually wrong. And again, there's even, especially with Kurt and his interviews that Chris has done, has confirmed this, and there's plenty of interviews from people who knew the band, who knew Kurt personally, that confirm this, is that he was a very driven individual who wanted success, who wanted the band to sell lots of records, to get on MTV, to play massive shows, to have lots of people listening to the music. He wanted people to know him as a songwriter and know his songs. And he was a very ambitious person, and Nirvana in turn were a very ambitious band. And that ambition, from what I've read, I believe is one of the main reasons they ended up leaving Sub Pop, because they realised Sub Pop although they were great for when they were starting out, couldn't actually match their ambition of where they wanted to go in terms of being a top band, selling loads of records, doing loads of interviews, getting on MTV and everything that come with it. So I think that ambition is a number one reason why they ended up leaving Sub Pop for DGC. So the second main reason, as I say, from what I've taken from the interviews and the videos I've seen online from people who knew the band, who were around the band sort of at the time they were on Sub Pop or when they left, is that I think they were generally a bit dissatisfied with the label, with Sub Pop. And this seems to be a couple of things that fed into this. Firstly, I think after Bleach was done, they'd recorded it and toured it, the band were ready to get back into the studio pretty quickly and record the follow-up. But for some reason, I imagine it was budget, they didn't quite have the money, Sub Pop delayed and dragged the feet, and it just got to a point, I think, where the band were just fed up with waiting, and so they thought, well, we'll go and find another label who will pay for studio time and will allow us to get on with the second album. And then additionally, from what I've read, as I say, in interviews and what I've seen online from various sources, is that I think, if I remember rightly, the European leg of the Bleach tour was quite taxing. There wasn't a lot of money about, so things like food and accommodation were very basic or scarce, from what I've read. They were all crammed into a tiny band, so all equipment, Nirvana and the other bands that were playing, notably Tad, who were a big band around that time on sort of the grunge scene, and it was just pretty horrendous conditions and pretty draining. And I think they'd already done an American tour down the West Coast before that for Bleach, which was basically the same. And I think the band just got fed up with that. I guess they were thinking, we're going to be touring a lot in our career and we just can't continue touring like this because it's such a horrible experience. And so I think they just decided to get onto a label with more money who could support better touring conditions. They just have a better experience. This is summed up, I think there was a show, I don't know where it was now, I can't remember, but I've seen a video on YouTube about this where and actually the Sub Pop bosses were in the crowd, but Kurt was so fed up with the tour, this was the European leg of the Bleach tour, that I think he just was completely manic for the whole Nirvana set of that show, and at the end he just smashed up everything in sight and stormed off saying he quit the tour because he was so fed up. So that sort of sums up the feeling, and I think that general dissatisfaction with the label is another reason why they decided to leave. One of the major questions that sort of comes up with this, I guess, is in some ways people feel a bit sorry for Sub Pop because they obviously picked the band up when they were unknown, they supported him, you know, they helped him record that Bleach album, which sort of made the name and gave him the ability to tour and build up a fan base and all these different things. But actually, the move to DGC, to Geffen Records, actually worked out really well for Sub Pop, because as part of it, not only did they get a contract buyout fee, but they also got, I think, future royalties on the Nirvana albums, or certainly Nevermind. So it actually ended up making them a lot of money, and by all accounts it saved Sub Pop financially, because sort of until then the finances were looking a bit shaky, I think. So it actually worked out well, not only for Nirvana but also Sub Pop as a label. Okay guys, so that's about it for today. So it's only a quick one. We've not been in the usual spot and been in this temp accommodation while the house is being sorted. So hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave your comments if you've got any more information or you've got anything to say on the subject, and remember to subscribe as well. Thanks, see you later.